Hey, how's it going? Today you are going to hear a webinar I gave a couple of weeks ago about building your glutes and the Q&A app.
This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line. Hello, everybody. As you come in, please let me know that you can hear me and that you can see me. Hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Allie. Welcome to the workshop. As everybody's coming in, I do need to let everybody in individually, so I apologize. Hi, Rhonda. Let me know in the chat. There is a chat feature. Please let me know that you can hear me and that you can see my screen, which says Build Your Glutes with Dr. Allie. I want to make sure that you can hear me and see my screen. Lots going on. Rhonda can hear me and see my screen. Excellent. Welcome to the Build Your Glutes workshop. This is for Run Disney runners who want strong butt muscles but have knee problems and have been told in the past squats and lunges are your best bet. That is not always the case. As a physical therapist, I have seen for years that not everybody can tolerate squats and lunges, even though they are great glute exercises. If you can't tolerate them because it hurts your knee too much, it doesn't do you any good. So here we are today. I'm going to show you exactly how to make your own workout so that you can build those glutes without doing squats and lunges. And you will hear me mention, for anybody that doesn't want to build their own, like, this was good, fine, no problem, but you really just want to be able to click a video and follow along. I also have an option of that at the end. If that works for you, great. If not, you're going to learn so much in this workshop to be able to build your own that you'll know exactly what to do. Okay, so again, welcome. I do have to admit everybody individually, so I apologize for the slight delay. This is the Build Your Glutes workshop with me. I'm Dr. Allie. I'm a physical therapist, doctor of physical therapy since 2012. Been working with people with orthopedic injuries for years. So that's what we are doing today. Excellent. Let's see here. Let's see, there we go. A little housekeeping. Your video can be on or off. The way Google Meet works is it's just like Zoom, but you can have the camera on or off, but please stay muted until the end. I will be doing Q&A at the end. If you want to hop on camera and we can chat about it, we can do that. Or you can just do questions in the chat box and you can ask them as we go. I may or may not be able to answer them as we go, but I will definitely scroll back at the end if I have missed something to answer them. Okay, so excellent. We are moving forward here. And for anybody who knows me, I am excellent with the strength training, the running training, the stretching. Technology, however, not one of my best suits. So I apologize if I end up hitting backwards on one of these slides. So if you are here, you are likely like one of many of my clients, and you may have sharp pain when you run. Maybe your knee aches all of the time. Maybe you have pain with stairs, pain with getting up from the chair or the couch, or knee pain that kind of jumps around. Sometimes it's on this part, sometimes it's on that part. Let me know in the chat. I want to make sure that you are in the right place. Let me know in the chat which one of these or multiple of these, 1 through 5, that matches you. If none of these match you, this may or may not be the right place. Okay, 1, 3, and 5 for Rhonda. Thank you so much. And if you have multiple, only one, you're not alone. These are the top 5 things. Most of my clients have at least 2 of these, usually 3. It was 5, now seems to be 2. Okay, so knee pain that was jumping around, now it's aching all the time. Thank you for sharing that. Go ahead and share in the chat if you haven't already, which one of these matches you, 1 through 5. 1 and 5, excellent. And I am going to preface this. You guys might see a little nose poke out from over here. I hope you're a dog person. My dog Levi is hanging out, taking a little nap next to me. And when I talk too much, he grumbles and comes over and stares at me. And so you will see a little nose right in here every once in a while. Okay, 1, 4, and 3, 1 and 5. Thank you so much for sharing. You guys are in the right place because all of these exercises will help strengthen your glutes so that you can get rid of these kinds of knee pains, okay? Excellent. Okay, and then next one, regarding strength exercises, which one matches you? You know you need strength exercises, but you don't quite know where to start. You used to strength train, and since you stopped, you've struggled with injuries. That's a common one. You've been strength training, but it hurts. You've been strength training, but you have to skip at least 50% of a workout. These are the top 4 things my clients tell me before we work together, that this is what has happened with strength. So which one are you, A, B, C, or D? I want to make sure we are going through everything accurately, and I'm making sure that I address which one the majority is. I'll focus more on those kinds of answers and things. We have a couple of A's. You know you need strength exercises, but don't know where to start. C, you've been strength training and it hurt. A and D, you need strength, but don't know where to start. And you've been strength training, but had to skip 50% or more of the workout. So common. I don't know if you guys have ever Googled the best glute strength exercises or the best exercises for knees. These are top Google searches that typically lead you to squats and lunges. And we're not doing any squats or lunges here today because they bug your knees. I get it. No squats and lunges today. We're going to learn something else. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. So what we are doing today is we are checking and we are building. Okay, we are checking your glutes. We need, when we work out, in order to actually do something with the exercises we're doing, we need to make sure our muscles, in this case, our glutes, are activating. If they're not activating, our body compensates, still does the motion, still does the exercise, but it doesn't do anything because they're not turned on. So we're going to check that they're activating. Then we need to make sure our glutes are stabilizing. What does that mean? That means keeping it in a solid position. So when we talk about glutes, our glutes are in our hips, and our hips pre-position where our knees are in space. If our glutes aren't stabilizing our hips, that's when our knees dive in towards each other when we run. You hear of people overpronating their foot. Well, part of overpronating your foot is a knee dive into the middle. Okay, that's when your knees start coming together. So our glutes need to activate, and then they need to stabilize so that our knees don't do that. And then finally, we need to check glute strength. We need just that strength to be able to propel ourselves forward. If our glutes aren't strong, something else will compensate. And it's usually the hip flexors or the quadriceps muscles. Those are the muscles in the front of the hip and thigh. So those muscles pull you forward instead of the glutes pushing you forward. Our glutes are on our backside. They should be pushing us forward as opposed to our quads pulling us forward. And when our quads pull us forward, our quads overwork, and then our knees hurt. And then you get that sharp shooting pain in the front of that kneecap. You get knees that ache all of the time. We don't want any of that. So we're going to check those today. And then we're going to build the workout based on the check. Based on the check, based on the movements that you were doing during that check to form the exercises that you need to be doing. Sound good? Sound like you're in the right place? Let's get started. Ooh, thumbs up. I love that Google Meet does that thumbs up now. Elizabeth just did a thumbs up. It comes straight up across my screen, and it's so cool. Okay, excellent. So what we're going to do today is we're going to check if your glutes are activating, glutes are stabilizing, and if your glutes are strong. Then we're going to take all of that information and build your workout. Oh, quick little intro. For those of you who are new here, I'm Dr. Allie. I am the runDisney DPT on Instagram. I hope you're following me. I put lots of little goodies out there. I live on Instagram practically. And if you like dogs, my dog Levi is always in my stories, usually rolling in something or taking a nap somewhere fun. I am a physical therapist helping runDisney runners with knee problems cross the finish line without feeling broken. I've been a physical therapist since 2012, and through the years, seeing hundreds, thousands, I don't know. I used to see in the physical therapy clinic, I could see anywhere between 18 to 40 patients in a day, be responsible for that many patients in a day. So over the course of 12 years, I have no idea how many people that actually is. It's a lot. I used to lose track, which is why I went out on my own. I am also the host of the Running to the Castle podcast, founder of Finish Line Academy, and other fitness programs. It says Finish Line Fitness there. I have now changed the name, but lots of strength programs, running training to help somebody go from injured to across the finish line, specifically for runDisney runners. That's me. Okay, today we're talking about movements and exercises. You'll notice at the end, I mentioned the 5-3-3. That's 5 positions, 3 categories, 3 directions. You already know the 3 categories: activation, stabilization, and strength. We'll go through positions and directions today. It's important to know as you're doing strength exercises, different types of, as you're doing workouts, as you're figuring out your workouts, it is important to know when you have pain related to running. So if you have pain at rest and there's no end in sight, comment number 1 in the chat. If you have pain at the beginning of a run and goes away as you keep running, let me know number 2 in the chat. During a run and it gets worse, that's a number 3 in the chat. And a few hours or days after running, that's a number 4. It is important to know when you have pain, because that can tell us whether you can push through some of that discomfort to continue strength training, or if you actually need something else instead of strength training to help your pain. We have some 2s and 4s. We have some 4s, some 3s and 4s, some 2s. Okay, excellent. So far, nobody has said at rest with no end in sight. That's excellent, because if you're in any of the other 3 categories, you can do strength exercises. So that's excellent. If you are a number 1, please know that right now, when you have pain at rest and there's no end in sight, no matter what you do, it's so uncomfortable, you can't get rid of that pain. Strength exercises in this moment won't help that. we do need other things to help that type of pain. So if that is you, please stay on the workshop, because this will be helpful information for when that pain has gone away. And if you do need help with that, go ahead and you can send me a private message about that. But so far, I'm not seeing any number one. So I think we're all good. Thank you so much for sharing, because it is important. And then also important, because we're going to be going through some movements now, you can share with me in the chat if you want. You can also just make a mental note of what your pain level is right now. Okay? 0 means no pain. 10 is the worst you've ever had. Usually need to go to the emergency department. On a scale of that 0 to 10, you can tell me what number pain you have. If you start at a certain level of pain, it is okay to do some strength exercises. So seeing a lot of zeros right now. That's excellent. Excellent. We like starting at 0. It is safe when you start at a 0 for pain. It is safe to go up to 4. I don't recommend going past 4 on that pain scale. And then between 0 to 4, whatever is your tolerable level. So it's not a no pain, no gain situation. We don't want pain, but some discomfort that's tolerable is okay. And if you do start at a number, let's say 2, it's safe to go up by about 2 to 3 points. So if you started at 2, you could get up to a 4 or a 5, but I don't recommend pushing through beyond those numbers. So that gives you an idea of how much pain is okay, and you always get to decide that. It's always about your tolerance to it, and you get to pick your numbers, and you get to pick what's okay to push through. I will say I usually don't recommend beyond that 4 if you start at 0, or beyond 2 to 3 points if you start at a higher number. Okay, great. Okay, so I also am going to show you some movements, and I have a little checklist for you. So let me see here. I get you this checklist, put it in the chat for you so that you can keep track if you want. I do recommend it. Let's see here. Sorry, should have had this up. And I'm admitting people as we go. Okay, so here is the checklist is in the chat. It's a PDF checklist. You can open it up in your preview app and then add a text box so that you can write onto it. Okay, so this first test, we're getting right into it, guys. First test is single leg activation. Okay, so this is standing on one leg. So you're going to stand on one leg to check to see if you can activate. Can you squeeze your butt cheeks while standing on that one leg? It's a yes or a no. Can I squeeze it? Okay, so once you do that, here is the scale. 0 points, I can't stand on one leg, or I can't squeeze my cheeks. And by squeeze your cheeks, I mean with your butt muscles. Don't put your hands on your cheeks and squeeze. That's not the kind of squeeze. 1 point if you can stand on your leg with a slight squeeze for about a second or a few seconds. And then 2 full points if you can stand on your one leg and you can do a solid butt cheek squeeze. Okay, go ahead and write down on your list 0, 1, or 2, because at the end we will be adding these up to see which type of activation, stability, or strength you need to be working on. So this is very specific to you, so go ahead and try this. Okay, so that's activation. Stability, we're going to do this for a whole minute. You're going to stand on one leg, squeeze the butt cheeks, and see if you can stay for this 1 whole minute. Can you keep your hips and your pelvis level? Look at me in this video. I look so happy, don't I? I was concentrating hard. But you can see, based on the line of my sweatshirt, you can see that my hips, my pelvis is pretty darn level. I don't have this hip dropping, and this hip stays steady. This one doesn't pop out over here. So I'm keeping it level. I'm wiggling. That's okay. Wiggling is completely normal as long as we're not falling over. Okay, so can you do standing on one leg and keep your hips and your pelvis level? Okay, so that was 1 minute. So now the check on this one, 0 points. Can't stand on one leg. 1 point, you can stand on one leg, but you can't keep your pelvis level. Your pelvis has dropped. This side stays, the side that you're standing on stays high, and this side that's not standing on it drops. Okay, so 2 points if you can stand on one leg and keep the pelvis level. 0, 1, or 2. We already went through a whole minute of it. So go ahead and mark down for leg stability. Is it a 0, a 1, or a 2? We are going to be keeping track of this. And you might want to write, if you're putting it in the chat, put single leg activation for what number, or single leg stability, because we have 3 of these for each test. Okay, now for single leg strength. You're going to stand on one leg, squeeze those cheeks, and you're going to move your other leg out to the side. In the video, I have an elastic band because this is actually a preview of one of the exercises. So I have an elastic band there. You don't need the elastic band, but can you move your leg out to the side while keeping your pelvis level? Now, when you move your leg to the side, sometimes that leg drags on the floor a little bit. So that can make you kind of leaning Tower of Pisa. That's okay. That's not what I'm talking about here. You see, I'm standing on my crochet book here to get a little bit of height so that my leg can swing evenly. But can you keep your pelvis level while you move this leg out? You can see in this video, you can see my pelvis is staying level. It has not dropped. I look a little happier in this video. My concentration face is fierce, I've heard. Okay, so for that, 0 points. You cannot stand on one leg. 1 point, you can stand on one leg, but you can't keep your pelvis level while moving the other leg. And then 2 points, you can stand on one leg, you can keep your pelvis level while you're moving. Okay? 0, 1, or 2. Go ahead and mark it down. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I'll take a little pause here. Okay, the next test, the next check. Oh, nope. While we take a little break from the next test, I want to go over, often when my clients or non-clients, really non-clients, are going through strength workouts, I'm going to share 3 mistakes that happen because I really don't want you to make those mistakes because they will make you worse. And I want you to feel better, and I want you to cross the finish line, and I want you to be able to enjoy the parks after your race. So mistake number 1 is forcing through painful squats and lunges because they're quote unquote the best. Squats and lunges are excellent glute workout exercises. They aren't the only ones. And so when you Google best strength exercises for glutes or best strength exercises for legs, you will get squats and lunges constantly. You'll see goblet squats, you'll see forward lunges, walking lunges, reverse lunges. The problem with forcing through painful squats and lunges, it's not a no pain, no gain situation. And pain is your body's way of telling you, not this, not right now. It doesn't mean you can't ever do it. I mean, if you don't ever want to do it, you don't ever have to. You're going to learn how to build your own program right now with no squats and lunges. But if you eventually wanted to get to it, that's fine, because they aren't inherently bad. But if you have pain when you're doing them, you are making your knee worse. Every time you feel that knee pain, you are flaring it up and starting the process of inflammation all over again. Okay? Your knee is angry. Your knee is an angry bear. Don't poke the bear. Because what happens when you poke an angry bear? They stick around and they get worse. They get angrier. Same thing with your knee. The more often you aggravate it, the longer it stays aggravated. Because typically, pain and inflammation take 10 to 14 days to go away with no intervention. If they're going to go away on their own, it will take 10 to 14 days. Pain goes away first, and then inflammation. So what happens is most people will wait the 5 days. Oh, my knee feels better. Now I'm going to go and strength train. I'm going to do my squats and my lunges again. The inflammation didn't go away. You have brought the inflammation down below the painful threshold, but it's not gone. It does take 2 weeks for that inflammation to go away with no intervention. No intervention meaning no anti-inflammatories, no ice, no heat. Those make it go away quicker, usually 7 to 10 days. It's still not gone. So now you go and do the squats and lunges again. It hurts because you've flared up that inflammation to bring it up to the painful threshold. You've crossed that threshold, and you're just going to go in this vicious cycle. So I don't recommend complete rest, but avoiding the painful activity, which is why we're creating a workout with no squats and lunges right now. Okay, let's now move into the next one. So the next activation test is partial standing. In an ideal world, you would actually do this on all fours, your hands and knees, but painful knees don't like kneeling and don't like being on all fours. So this is the next best thing. So now this is how we test it. I used to have people test it in all fours, and about one person could tolerate on all fours. So I've skipped that step. Okay, so partial standing activation. You're going to use a wall or a chair, and you're going to angle yourself at this 45-degree angle. When you're activating, all you're doing is squeezing your glutes in this position. So yes or no, can you squeeze your glutes? Okay. The 0 points. Oh, excuse me. That should be standing in this position just on the one leg. So 0 points is you can't stand on one leg or cannot squeeze. 1 point is you can stand on one leg with a slight squeeze for a quick second. And then 2 full points if you can stand on one leg with a solid squeeze and you can hold it. Okay, 0, 1, or 2. Mark down your answers. Because remember, we are going to add these up later to know whether you need to work on activation, stability, or strength. Now, for the next one, stability is you're still going to use that chair or that wall, tighten your tummy, squeeze your glutes, and you're going to see if your pelvis and hips stay level. Remember, stability is all about this level positioning. So you're not moving your leg just yet. That one is in strength, but you're in this position on the one leg. Does that pelvis drop or does your back arch? That might be a better test in this position. okay? So 0 points, you can't stand on one leg in this position. 1 point, you can stand on the one leg, but your pelvis doesn't stay level. Either you arch your back and your pelvis dips forward, or your pelvis dips side to side. 2 full points, you can stand on the one leg and you can keep your pelvis level. 0, 1, or 2 for this partial standing stability. Okay, partial standing strength. This one you're going to be doing for a whole minute. In this position, now kick that leg backward, just like you see in the video. And can you kick that leg backward and keep your pelvis level? So in this position, you want to make sure your pelvis stays level side to side and your back doesn't arch. If your back arches, that means that your pelvis has dipped forward. So it's still not level in a forward backward position. Levi made a cameo in this video. He blends right into the couch and the blanket right there. All right, a couple more seconds on practicing this one before we're going to test it. Okay, so as you did that, 0 points if you cannot stand on one leg. 1 point if you can stand on one leg, but you can't keep your pelvis level while you're kicking backward. 2 full points if you can stand on the one leg, you can keep your pelvis level while you're kicking backward. 0, 1, and 2. Mark that down so you know which category, activation, stability, or strength, your glutes need. Okay, I mentioned we're going through mistakes. Mistakes number 2, modifying YouTube videos to avoid the painful movements. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to force through the painful movements. We talked about that in mistake number 1. However, modifying the YouTube video that you're watching can be pointless and it wastes so much time. You're already training for a race, right? Like, how many people here are training for dopey? Training for dopey takes so much time. Training for the marathon takes so much time. Training for goofy takes so much time. And don't get me wrong, training for the half takes a lot of time. Training for the 10K, training for the 5K, it all takes time. And when you have to modify 50 to 75% of a workout video, now not only do you possibly miss an important type of exercise and missing out on strengthening your muscles in a specific way, now, in order to make up for that, you have to go search for another video because you had to skip 50 to 75% of it. I did a workout a couple of weeks ago as a test for one of my clients. She wanted to know if the Apple Fitness Plus workouts were good. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw these reels go through. I would have, if I had knee pain, I don't have knee pain, thank goodness. I would have had to skip 75% of it. I told my client, I said, this one's not for you because of the 15 exercises, including the warm-up, you would have had to skip 11. Whoops. Sorry, folks. I have a doorbell. Hold on just a second. So sorry. Oh, the life of having a dog. Levi hates the doorbell. So modifying YouTube videos, we don't want to skip 50 to 75% of them because then we have to go and find other ones to hodgepodge it together. So that's, again, why we're doing this workshop today, so that you can build your own. Or if you just want to be able to click a video, I have that option for you too. But we don't want to skip the workouts because you're either missing out on some really important strength, or you have to waste your time to go and now find another workout, which may or may not work for you. Okay. Okay, now we're laying on our belly. So face down leg lift, activation. So you're gonna lay on your belly with one knee bent. Don't lift it just yet. Can you squeeze your butt cheeks? This is checking if you can activate. Can you squeeze the cheeks? It's a yes or a no. Point system, 0 points, can't squeeze in this position, which I would say 60 to 70% of my clients, so 6 or 7 out of 10, every 10 clients can't squeeze in this position. And that's okay, because even if you can squeeze your glutes in another position, your brain muscle connection is disrupted every time you change position. So if you're on your belly, if you're on your side, if you're standing, if you're leaning, if you're on all fours, it does change. So that's why we're checking with each individual position. 1 point if you have a slight squeeze for a quick second. 2 full points, you get a solid squeeze and you can hold it. So that's activation, 0, 1, or 2. Now stability. This one, you are going to lift that leg in the air. You're going to lay on your belly, knee bent to 90 degrees, engage your glutes and lift. You're going to look at 2 parts here. You're going to look at your low back. Does it twist as you're lifting? So then you're rotating your body. And does your upper back, your upper body move when you lift? If you really have to press down with your arms as you lift, or does your back twist as you lift? This is checking stability. So 0 points, can't lift the leg at all. 1 point if you can lift your leg, but you cannot keep your pelvis level or your back quiet. Both have to happen. You have to keep the pelvis level so your back doesn't twist, and your upper back needs to stay quiet, not involved in the activity. 2 full points if you can lift your leg, your pelvis stays level, meaning you don't twist, and your upper back stays quiet, is not engaged with this activity. So you can see in this video, my upper body doesn't move. My shoulders and elbows don't push down into the floor to counterbalance to lift that leg in the air. And my back does not twist. You can see my butt stays level as that leg lifts. Okay, so 0, 1, and 2 for stability. Now we're checking strength. See if you can do this for a whole minute. Lift that leg in the air. Can you keep the same height? I don't know why I missed this on the slide here, but it says, can you do it? Can you do it? And can you keep the same height? Can you lift it to the same height each time? Or does it get lower and lower and lower? About 20 more seconds of this. And if you can't do it for the whole minute, no problem. You'll see that on our list right after this, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, excellent. So now let's do our check. 0 points, you cannot lift that leg. 1 point, if you can lift the leg, it's an inconsistent height, or you get a muscle cramp, or you can't do it for a whole minute. Muscle cramps are another way to tell your body when you're doing strength workouts that the muscle isn't strong for this movement. Cramps during running is different, but cramps in the leg while you're doing this workout, while you're doing this movement, cramps in the leg mean that there's weakness. 2 full points, you can lift your leg, and it's a consistent height, and it's cramp-free, and you can do it for a minute. 0, 1, or 2. Go ahead and mark that down. Remember, we're using these numbers later to figure out if you need activation, stability, or strength in your workouts, because that will guide what kind of workout you're doing. Okay, now we're going to lay on our back. So this is bridging, laying on your back, both knees bent, toes up, squeeze your glutes and lift your butt off the ground. This one is bridging with both legs on the ground. Notice how high you lifted, because we're going to use this as a comparison to the next bridge, which is single leg bridging. Okay, so notice how high you can go. So now going to the single leg bridging. So same position, but one leg's on the ground. For activation, you are going to have one leg off the ground and you're going to squeeze your butt cheeks. Can you squeeze them? Yes or no for activation. It's just, can you squeeze them? There's no lift just yet. So 0 points, cannot squeeze. 1 point, slight squeeze for a quick second. 2 points, you get a solid squeeze and you can hold it. 0, 1, or 2. Now we're going to go into the lift. So this time you're going to squeeze the butt, lift your butt in the air, and notice what your pelvis does. Can you keep it even? Can you keep it level side to side, or does one side drop? If the side with the leg in the air drops, that's not level. So 0 points cannot keep the pelvis level. 1 point, if you can keep it level in one direction, meaning you can keep it level either going up or going down, but not both. 2 points, if you can keep it level as you go up and as you go down, both directions. Okay. Remember, we're marking down 0, 1, and 2 in our list because we will use this later. Now checking the strength. You'll be doing up and down 1 minute, both sides. So we'll do this for a minute with one leg on the ground, and then we're going to switch. Notice, can you lift to the same height as the bridging that you did before, where both legs were on the ground and you lifted? And does it stay consistent? Or are you going up to a certain height, and as you do more and more, the height gets lower and lower? Okay, we'll do it for 1 minute on each side. Okay, switch sides. 15 more seconds. Keep going. Excellent. Okay, so for this one, 0 points, can't lift. 1 point, you can lift. The height is low or inconsistent. So either the height is lower than when you did both legs at the same time, or it's inconsistent where it's starting to drop as you do more. 2 full points, you can lift to the same height and it's consistent. 0, 1, or 2. Okay, third mistake, and we have 2 more exercises to check. Third mistake, thinking if the movement is weak, doing more of it will strengthen it. So a good example is that single leg bridge. If the height was not consistent, many times runners will think, oh, I just need to do more of it. The problem with this is if it's inconsistent, you aren't engaging the correct muscles each time. So if you keep doing this single leg bridge and the height is inconsistent, the squeeze is inconsistent, you're still doing the motion, but other muscles are doing the work. So you aren't actually strengthening the muscle that you want to strengthen. So instead, we need to adjust the movement, adjust the position, adjust how much weight is on it, adjust how we do it to build up to it. So one example, most children, most babies, before they can walk, they start creeping and crawling. They do their army crawl thing, then they get on hands and knees, then they start cruising around furniture and they pull themselves up, they fall down, they pull themselves up, and they start cruising along furniture before they stop holding on to the furniture and can walk. They have this progression. If we just stuck them and said, walk, and held their hands and then let go of their hands, the walking would not be consistent. They actually wouldn't get strong in the muscles they need to get strong because they skipped earlier movements and their body compensated. Many children who skip the creeping, crawling, and cruising phases have significant core weakness, hypermobility, and just overall don't have a foundation in those big muscle groups like their core and their glutes because they skipped the foundational aspect. So doing the movement over and over and over again will make that movement strong, right? Like we practice like we play. We can't just go and on a soccer team, you can't just go play multiple games 90 minutes every time. We have practices. We have 3 aside, we have 6 aside. We do strength and conditioning work. We do sprinting. We go for running. Because doing the same thing over and over and over again does not solidify the strength and the movement. So we need to break up that movement pattern to strengthen each direction, each position individually, and then come back to that, put all the pieces together. Okay, let's go on to the last 2 movements. You are on your side. This is the side lying leg lift. This really engages glute medius to be exact. If you're in the Facebook groups talking about glute strength, you will see people say you really need to strengthen glute med. You need to strengthen gluteus medius. This is one of the top exercises to do that. So with this, you're going to lay on your side, tighten your tummy, roll your hips forward so that they're stacked one on top of the other, and then squeeze your cheeks. No lifting your leg just yet. Can you squeeze them? If you goofed up on the checklist, it's no problem. The last exercise was the single leg bridging. SL bridging, single leg bridging. For this one, can you squeeze your glutes? Yes or no? 0 points, you can't squeeze it. 1 point for a slight squeeze for a quick second. 2 full points if you have a solid squeeze and you can hold it. Now for stability, you are going to lift this leg in the air, the top leg in the air. You're going to keep that leg back and your hips rolled forward. So your hips stay stacked. Can you lift while keeping your hips stacked and your leg back? Oh, the sheet and exercise is not in the same order. I am so sorry. I did not realize that. I goofed on that. I am so sorry. I cannot pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone right here. I am so sorry about that. Let me take a peek here. Oh, goodness. I am so sorry. You're right. Yes. I flip-flopped the single leg bridging and the face down leg lift. Yes, that is my fault. I am so sorry. So the last exercise that we did is actually marked as number 3 on the list. So if you need to adjust that right now, I'll give you a minute. That was my fault. I am so sorry. Thought it was all in order. Again, technology. Thank you for your patience. Not my strong suit. Okay, side-lying leg lift stability. Can you lift that leg in the air and keep your leg back and your hips stacked? So what happens is when you can't keep those hips stacked, your back rolls, you start rolling towards your back and your leg comes forward. So can you lift while keeping that good alignment? So 0 points, you cannot keep your hips stacked and your leg back. 1 point, you can keep either the hips stacked or the leg back, but you can't do the 2 at the same time. 2 full points if you can keep your hips stacked and your leg back. 0, 1, or 2 for stability. Now into strength. I'm going to pause this for a second. You're going to lay on your back, lay on your side. You'll lay on your side, roll your hips forward, and you're going to lift that leg up and down for a minute. Can you lift to a consistent height and keep your kneecap forward? Notice in the video, my leg doesn't go that high. If it starts coming so high that I've rotated my leg, you are doing a different exercise. Still an exercise, but you're no longer working your glutes. You're starting to engage your hip flexors and other muscles. So this one is a small movement. It's not like those aerobic videos where you're trying to get your leg all the way up to your ear. That's a different exercise. So I'll go ahead and hit play here. See if you can do it for a minute. This is timing a minute. And I know it looks like I'm talking here. I took out that audio. I just wanted the video of the movement. So don't worry if you can't hear me talking in that video. And we're going to do this on both sides. So this is one side first. Okay, go ahead and switch sides. And I'll press play here again. Excuse me. Okay, now we're doing the other side. Keeping those hips stacked. Leg lift is smaller than you think it is. I should just double check that we're going in the right order again. Yes, side lying leg lift is listed as this next one. Yes, good. Yes. "15 more seconds." Keeping an eye on the consistent height, keeping your hips stacked and your leg back. Okay, so 0 points if you can't lift the leg, 1 point if you can lift, but your hips roll back or the height is low or inconsistent. 2 full points if you can lift with your hips stacked, same height, and it's consistent throughout. 0, 1, or 2. All right, and our last check today is side lying clamshell. Activation for this one, you're going to lay on your side with both knees bent, ankles together. Can you squeeze your glutes in this position? No lifting your leg just yet. Can you squeeze the glutes? Yes or no? 0 points for cannot squeeze. 1 point for a slight squeeze for a quick second. 2 points for a solid squeeze, and you can hold it. Remember, activating those glutes, the ability to do it changes depending on what position you're in. Okay, so that's activation, 0, 1, or 2. Clamshell stability. This one you will move your legs, so your ankles will stay together. Your knee will rotate up, keeping your hips stacked. So as that knee goes up, force your hips forward. Can you do that without rolling towards your back? So 0 points, cannot rotate to lift, meaning you are rolling your back, you're twisting your back. 1 point, you can rotate, but you can't keep those hips stacked in good alignment. 2 solid points, you can get that knee up because you rotated and you can keep your hips stacked. 0, 1, or 2 for stability. Okay, now we're checking strength. We're doing this for 1 minute on each leg. You're gonna keep your tummy tight, keep your butt tight, rotate up. We're looking for consistent height while keeping your hips stacked. Notice how as I'm lifting, right where my hand is, doesn't move. I don't start rolling toward my back because my hips stay stacked one on top of the other. We're doing this for 1 minute on each side. Okay, go ahead and switch sides. Same thing, other side. And as I'm saying this, I realize my addition on my checklist. I recently changed this checklist to have a scoring aspect, but I did not give you space for both sides. So we need this one to do 2 sides, this one to do 2 sides. Looks like this will be out of 20. That was my fault. The whole mind was wrapped around making sure we had all of this. I messed up my checklist. So I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so 0 points. Cannot rotate to lift only your knee, meaning your back starts twisting. 1 point, you can rotate. You cannot keep your hips stacked, or the height is inconsistent, or you can't do it for 1 minute. 2 full points if you can rotate and keep your keep your hips stacked and do it for 1 minute. 0, 1, or 2 on this one. All right, so we went through different categories, different positions, and different directions. So, whoops, go back here. I won't go through that. So how did we do on our checklist? Now it's time to do some addition. Let's do some activation first. What are our activation scores? Go ahead and write it in the chat. Let's see where we're at. So as you are doing these exercises, ideally, you have high marks all around. If you have low activation, where it's a 0 or a 1 on each of the tests, you need to focus on activation first. If your activation score is a 2 across the board, look at stability. If stability is a 0 or a 1 for the majority of the tests, you need to work on stability and focusing on keeping that pelvis level before you focus on adding resistance bands, weight, things like that. Then, if your stability is 2s most of the time, you can look at strength. Now, of course, in the different positions, if activation is low, but let's say activation is low in standing, but laying on your back, activation is good. Well, you can work on activation in standing and move to stability for the other positions that had high marks. Same thing with stability to strength. If your strength marks are 0 to 1, but your activation and your stability are 2s in that same row, then you know you need to work on strength for that position and movement. So I'm seeing a lot of high activation, mid-range stability, and some higher numbers for strength. So even when the numbers are high on strength, but stability is lower, stability needs to be a main focus. So really working on getting that pelvis level, because if you're doing a movement and your pelvis is not level, you are not strengthening that muscle in that position, because your body is now compensating. Because if your pelvis was level during that, or your ability to keep it level during that one, then you know that your glute is stabilizing and working in that movement. If you're not keeping your pelvis level during that movement and it's moving all around, well, something else is doing the work of you being able to do that strength exercise. So if you're noticing that certain positions have lower numbers, that gives you a good idea of where you need to focus. So we have the 5 positions. Actually, let me also ask, did anybody have knee pain during these exercises? We talked about pain being 0 for a lot of people, 2 for a couple of people. Did we have any pain during these exercises? No knee pain. I did not. How did your glutes feel? Did it feel like they were doing something during these movements, during these exercises? Okay, so knee pain only seems to happen when you're actually jogging and running. Okay. Definitely felt the muscles working. You did cramp on the leg lifts from the floor. Okay, so that's telling you that that particular movement, those muscles can't do it in a strong, solid contraction. A muscle cramp does mean that that is too much for that muscle. So we need to modify, adjust to build up to doing that. Felt them getting used. Great. So we had no knee pain and we felt our glutes being used. That's a win-win. Because we need to feel those glutes being used and we don't want the knee pain. So we have the 5 positions. So the 5 positions are standing on one leg. The second one, I have a dash here. It's on your hands, knees on all fours, or partial standing. I mentioned earlier, ideally it's on your hands and knees, but when you have knee pain, that's not always an option. So we did partial standing. And then laying on your back, laying on your belly, and laying on your side. Those are the 5 positions. It's great to do exercises just laying on your back to really work those glutes. I see a lot of people doing a lot of bridging. But when we skip out on the standing on one leg, we miss out on activating our glutes in the position we're going to be when we're running. Running a series of single leg hops. The difference between walking and running is literally that when you run, you're never on both legs at the same time in the gait cycle. When you walk, there is a period where both legs are on the ground at the same time. That's the difference between walking and running. So you need to be able to stabilize, strengthen, and activate in the position of being on one leg in order for this to translate to running. Hands and knees position engages your core so that your core works in congruence with your glutes. We need them to work together. Partial standing gets us partially there. It's a great exercise, and eventually we move on. Laying on your back, laying on your belly, and laying on your side, they work the glutes in their optimal position to get stronger. So standing, great for stability, but the way the muscle has to activate, you can only strengthen so much in that position. So we need to include laying on your back, laying on your belly, and laying on your side in addition to standing. We can't just have standing, and we can't just have laying down. Our 3 categories: activation, stability, and strength. That will guide us to where our main focus is during our exercises. And we should be focusing on engaging those glutes at the beginning of the workout to make sure our body is not compensating. And then as we're doing the exercises, making sure we are stabilizing and in good alignment as we go, because we won't get stronger in the right muscles if we're not stabilizing. The directions we need to move our body: sideways, backward, and rotation. Do you think in this workshop we hit all of those? Did we hit all 5 positions? Got some thumbs up. Did we do all 3 categories? Yes, getting some thumbs up. Did we do all 3 directions? Ooh, that was a cool thumbs up. It just exploded. Yes, excellent. So we hit them. Were you surprised at any of your results today? Maybe, maybe not. Yes, got a yes. Yes. I would say 80% of my clients are surprised about what you expected. Okay, you're pretty tuned into yourself. That's excellent. So I just mentioned this, but what did your results tell you? It tells you where to focus, what position needs some more work, what category needs some more work, and what direction needs some more work. And if you didn't have the activation, stability, or strength, don't worry, because you can gain it. It's a good thing. You now know where to focus. You know what to do. In the beginning, if you said you know you need to strength train, but you aren't sure what to do, now you know what to do. So the best strength routine for somebody, for a RunDisney runner with injuries or who is injury prone, it's doing one that you'll do, not forcing through pain that is given to you with squats and lunges, because you're not going to keep up with that one. Especially if it puts you in pain for 3 to 4 days, and then you don't have pain. So you say, well, now it's time to do the strength workout again. And it puts you in pain for 3 to 4 days. You feel good for 1 day a week. Like that doesn't have to happen. It's not a no pain, no gain situation. You don't have to have pain to indicate you're getting stronger and doing better. Pain is your body's way of telling you, not this, not right now. You want to focus on exercises that work the weak areas, work the weak categories, in the weak position, in the weak direction. Now, of course, you want all of them, but really tune in to when you're doing the ones that you know are weak and don't just go through the motion. And you want one that won't flare up your injury or make you sore for days. Does that make sense? Yes, getting some thumbs up. So I did mention that for somebody who doesn't want to create their own workout with the 533, that there are workout videos. Would it be okay if I shared a little bit about that right now for those who are interested to be able to just click a button and be told what to do? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Getting some thumbs up, getting some please. Yes. Excellent. So I have created a glute specific workout. I call it glute gains without knee pains. I thought it sounded cute. They're at home workouts, minimal equipment, elastics, light ankle weights, yoga mat if you want. They're less than 30 minutes long, and you do them 2 to 3 times a week. This particular set of videos are pre-recorded. They will start October 6th, which is about 10 days from now, and it's 12 workouts. It's 6 months worth of workouts. You just hit play and it tells you what to do, and it works your glutes in a safe manner, no squats and lunges, with the background of the 5 positions, the 3 categories, and the 3 directions, so that you don't even have to think about what to do and you just hit play. There is the option to just do the workout videos, which if you go for that option, you get access to them October 6th, 8 a.m. There is also an option if you want individualized coaching. That's one-on-one with me. This is for somebody who specifically has an injury that is flared up. It's kind of all over the place, and the workouts, one day this workout is fine, but the next day it's not, and it's kind of just all over the place. It's not consistent. And that is one-on-one with me for 8 weeks, giving you a customized strength program with the videos of how to do them. But we work on that one-on-one together to dial it in for your specific injury. Not everybody can just press play for the workout. So if that is something that you're interested in, it's $199. It's 6 months worth of videos. You just hit play. For the one-on-one code, that's $899 with me for 8 weeks. And for just comparison's sake, a single one-on-one that's an hour with me is $300. So that normally over the 8 weeks would be about $1,200. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. What questions do you have? Ooh, that's a fun heart, Elizabeth. I like that one. Erin, will these help if we think our knee pain is a result? Yes. Yes. So IT band issues, the IT band connects directly onto your glutes. So the biggest reason somebody has IT band issues is because of the position that the legs get in due to weak glutes. It starts pulling and putting pressure along the IT band, sends it down that thigh into the knee. So yes, this will help somebody who thinks their knee pain is from IT band issues. It also really helps for runner's knee, knee arthritis, and meniscus problems. So those 4 types specifically will benefit from this. This really isn't good for somebody who has something like rheumatoid arthritis or like a hamstring strain or knee pain from gout. What else? wouldn't it be great for? It would not be great for like a groin strain, but those knee problems, knee arthritis, IT band syndrome, runner's knee, sharpshooty pain in the front of the knee, and like that C shape underneath that it can sometimes make, those types of problems, meniscus problems, they do great with this type of workout. I have right knee pain, and lately my left calf feels strained. Could this calf pain be caused by compensating for knee pain when I run? Yes, it absolutely could be. Yes. Because when something doesn't feel right, you walk funny, you run funny, and something else takes a hit. We call it sequela. So in physical therapy, in the medical field, you have one kind of injury, and then the sequela is all of the things that happen after it. A good example is I broke my elbow when I was 10 years old, and I was in a cast. I was in a cast for 6 to 8 weeks. And when I got out of the cast, I couldn't straighten my elbow. And it hurt like nobody's business to try and straighten my elbow. There was nothing else wrong with my elbow. The lack of ability to straighten my elbow was the sequela from the fracture that needed the cast. So the fact that I couldn't straighten my elbow, there was nothing else wrong with it, but it was because of this other thing. Same concept with the right knee pain can cause calf issues, even if it's on the other side, because now you're favoring that right side. So then the left side has to pick up for it, and it's painful. So yes, it absolutely can be. I know we're all different, but on average, about how long to see results / decreased knee pain? And are we able to continue with our running training plans and the videos? Great questions. So yes, everybody is different. So the first thing that gives you an idea of how soon the knee problem will resolve and you'll feel better is how often are you aggravating it. So the more often you aggravate it, the longer it will be there. Essentially, every time you re-aggravate it, the cycle starts again. So if you do no intervention, takes about 14 days if it's going to resolve on its own. That's for a new injury. The longer a pain has been going on, the longer that timeline goes out. So typically when somebody starts doing glute workouts like these in this program, they can start noticing that their knee feels better in 14 days. And then as long as they don't re-aggravate it, it will continue to go down. I'd say on average, it's 8 to 12 weeks. It is long. However, it's based on how long it's already been going on. A newer injury will feel better sooner. And yes, you absolutely can continue running and training and the videos I'm a big proponent of active rest. So I rarely tell anybody you have to absolutely stop running. You absolutely have to stop training. I don't believe that. Rest actually makes a lot of injuries worse because 80% of running injuries are from overuse and overtraining. But when you stop that completely, the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, and the joints actually lose their ability to tolerate pressure and load. So if you rest completely, yes, the pain will go away, but when you start back up, it will come back in full force because it's not used to doing the thing. So what I actually recommend people do is they may need to modify their running and their training. And that's what I work on one-on-one with people to be able to figure out, well, how much can you run? Can you run 4 miles or can you really do that 8-miler? Or maybe we need to incorporate a different type of cross training and supplement the running with this different cross training so you still get the cardiovascular endurance without all the pressure on the knee. Does that make sense? It does. And I'm sorry, it was just easier for me to come out here and talk. So
Absolutely.
I'm signed up for Wine and Dine.
Yeah.
And, I know it's horrible to say, but I'm one of those that I just learn to live through the pain. I ice it, I rest it, I do the rice method, and it's just something I've come to expect.
Mm.
But now I'm getting older, and maybe I shouldn't expect it anymore.
Hmm.
So my question is, when these videos start on the 6th, when I implement them, I'm not expecting immediate results, but I'm also nervous about, you know, taking my training, being softer on it because Wine and Dine is coming up.
Mm. So when you say, not expecting immediate results, are you talking about knee pain reduction? Are you talking about strength as the result? What do you mean?
The knee pain reduction, yes.
Yeah. So the strength exercises will definitely help offload your knee and it feel better. That should start happening within the first 2 weeks. And incorporating with the running, whether that starts over again is how often are you aggravating it as you're running. Because if you're doing strength exercises with no knee pain, that's awesome. But if then you're running and you run and you're down for the count because of that, that starts the process all over again.
Correct. And that's what I'm nervous about with the with Wine and Dine coming up, because I'm
Yeah.
not really in a position right now because it's possible that I will just continue to aggravate it because I'm not taking, those little pauses or lessening up on the miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it can be a lessening up on the miles. Do you follow what training plans do you follow?
So I do the interval training with Jeff Galloway's method.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
And some days, like, the pain it's very mild. And sometimes I don't feel it until I'm coming down my steps, and other times it's like, oh, like, it's not excruciating that it's taking me out. But it's definitely there.
yeah. And so in addition to like the running aspect and how many miles you're doing, do you know, like, is there a distance that you're like, oh shoot, that's gonna kill me?
It's usually 9+, yeah.
Okay.
But then I tend to take those miles a little slower.
Hmm.
I try to stay off the hills, both up and down. But then at the same time, that's more time on my feet and also more pounding on the knees. So, but
Yeah.
I've been with RunDisney for a lot of years, so I just come to.
Yeah. So
Come
this
to
isn't your
expect it, yeah.
first. This isn't your first half marathon.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you say you take those miles slower, like how slow are we talking is your typical long run?
I probably average like 13-minute miles when I'm going
Okay.
like I'm not a speedy runner, but I try to stay between 13 and 14
Yeah.
minute miles on my slower and longer ones. And it's, for other reasons too. So I don't gas out, so I can make it to the end, so I can finish strong.
Right.
Yeah.
And what pace do you plan to do your race at?
You see, that's always a tricky question because, one, I do stuff for the characters, and two, I've started running. I've become an athlete, an AWD, an athlete guide for a disabled runner.
Mhm.
So I don't really know how to answer that because I just follow her lead.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
your last half marathon
Mm-hmm.
pace did you do?
I think the overall pace was about 13 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So typically for somebody who has knee pain, I recommend that their long runs be 30% slower than what their anticipated race pace is. So if we don't know what this next one is, we look at the last one. So if your last one was 13, 10% of that would be 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 30% would be 3.9, which means it's almost 4 minutes slower. So your long run should be about 17 minutes
Okay.
as your pace, because going longer and faster, it works great for some people, but for somebody who's had an injury, for somebody who's battling knee pain, it's a recipe for that knee to just get aggravated. And now we don't know, is it the distance or was it the pace?
Right. And I definitely don't want to make it worse,
Right.
as I get older as well. And it become, a more serious problem that, that involves surgery or something like that.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
so you already know that taking it slower is better for your knee. Add extra time to
Okay.
your long runs, because long runs are training your body to be on your feet for that length of time. And then you do shorter distances to work on speed.
Correct.
And
Yep.
you're a seasoned runner. You can do that speed. And it's usually not a single dose of, unless you step off the curb wrong, fall, it's usually not a one-time thing. It's the addition over time of the added miles, the added pace, the added miles, the added pace that the knee doesn't like. And it usually can sustain it for about 4 weeks before it says, screw off, I can't do this anymore.
Okay.
And so that's why I recommend doing it so much slower, because then you're training your body for time on your feet. And then the one day you can go balls to the wall and you can run that thing like nobody's business on race day.
Correct. I like that. Yes. I like how you said that, Ali. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's important.
And then with the miles, since you're a seasoned runner, what do you cap your longest distance at for your half marathon training?
So this, I do go a little off plan, because I know some plans, they want you to go more than what the actual race distance is. I'll usually go no more than 1 mile pass. So for a half marathon, I probably won't go more than 14 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about cutting it at 10?
I've done that. And sometimes life just gets in the way too. And it's also mentally. If I can make it to 10 or 11, then you know what? I know I have the 13.
It's just a 5K after that.
Exactly. Okay. So you recommend making 10, like,
Yes.
for my half the longest.
And the
Okay.
reason that works is because you're going 30% slower on your long run. So you're going to do 10 miles at the same time frame as it will take you to race your half marathon.
Okay.
So you'll be on your feet for the same amount of time.
That's true. That's true. I like that. Okay. Ali, this has been, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. It saves your muscles and your joints all of the extra pounding.
Yes.
And you're seasoned. You know you can do a half marathon.
Exactly. So now it's just paying more attention to my body and making sure I'm strong for afterwards.
Yes.
That's my goal. Excellent. Ali, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time and for doing this for us.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to help. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, Erin's doing wine and dine too. Awesome. You guys will see each other there. Well, I'm happy to answer any more questions. We still have 2 other people on. If you don't have any questions, I'll let you go about your day.
As always, thanks so much for listening. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.